to do until he's eligible to get released sooner. So we certainly hope that he comes home to Canada.
So I have ideas.
Go ahead, Shane.
Go ahead. Okay, I just wanted to say that I have ideas to do rallies and go to the streets and make a peaceful physical presence on the marijuana issue itself, but also for Marc. Would you people mind that, or do you think that's not a good thing to do? Or
I think it's a great idea. What Marc and I really love to see is people taking action on their own. So, going out on a street corner and holding up a sign, or even if you want to gather together a group of people and hold a protest or a rally down the street, that's excellent. The only thing we don't want is people to go to the prison and protest right outside or in the lobby of the prison, because that actually happened here at CTAC FBC when he was brought down, and they did not take kindly to that. So, but getting out in the streets and spreading the message, that really helps, because it's not just about freeing Marc Emery. When we ask people to free Marc Emery or Google Marc Emery and they look him up, they realize that, this whole drug war is a horrible persecution of so many innocent people, and Marc is a name and a face that represents all the people who go nameless and faceless behind bars for cannabis and nonviolent drug crimes. So when we ask people to look up Marc Emery or help Marc Emery, it really is to help everybody, because once Marc is free, he'll be able to help me and help everybody else continue this fight to finally slay and end prohibition. And we need him home to do that, and it'll help ensure that nobody else goes to prison.
Yes, well, I'm a musician, and I'm not going to do protests, but we're going to do rallies. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Jodi, I was going to say, I'd get an organization together and we'll just go break him out of prison, but I guess that won't work.
No, it won't work, because I've been there. They've got big shotguns at those prisons.
We'll just get bigger guns.
Yeah, no, we want to...
Jodi.
Yeah?
Jodi, first of all, I want to remind people they can call 604-669-9069. Participate in the Money Bomb, please. Visa, MasterCard, and PayPal. Jodi, it's got to be insane if Prop 19 passes, that people are smoking it, they're taxing it for recreational purposes, using it for medical purposes, growing it in their backyard, growing acres of it for medicinal purposes for patients who can't grow it themselves. Have 50 plants if you have a dispensary. Dispensaries now are making distributions at home, delivery for patients who can't get out of the house. Vending machines actually take your money with an ID so you can get medical marijuana. And there sits Marc Emery and Eddie Lepp behind bars in the same state. That's insane.
For seed.
Absolutely. It's so absurd that, Marc will be down in a state where people sell not just seeds, but also actual plants and actual cannabis buds on a massive scale, while he sits in prison for selling them those seeds that enabled them to do it. It's a great irony, and it is kind of frustrating, but, Marc and I would rather prefer California be doing what it's doing now and him be in prison than he being free and California being oppressed and not where it is now. So, Marc's sacrifice is worth it in the end if people are able to step up and fight and stand up against this horrible, horrible drug war. It really means a lot to us that people are going to be taking part in such a massive moment in history, such an important, pivotal time. So we're absolutely grateful that California and a lot of the rest of the United States are making so much progress and moving forward. So, that's good. Even though Marc is locked up and can't be free to see it happen, he has a unique perspective from inside those prison walls where he's writing his life story and working on so much stuff. So, it's interesting and it's ironic and it's a bit sad, but, I'm not sure if we would have it any other way, to be honest.
And in a sad way, he gets the last laugh, because the day it passes, he's able to be in the state at the moment that it passes, he's able to be in the state that makes that history that he helped put into motion. And he was brought to that state by his enemy. Isn't that strange?
It sure is.
There probably isn't a more important movement going on in the United States right now that's fighting for the United States Constitution than this very issue right here. And like you say, to me, Marc Emery, that title, Prince of Pot, I want to make him the king of pot. You know, he's one of my heroes for a long time. And this, like you say, this, if anything that fights for our Constitution, it's worth whatever it takes to get it done.
No, absolutely.
604-669-9069, Visa, PayPal, MasterCard. I didn't mean to interrupt, Jodi, but I want people to give money. Go ahead.
Yep, please go to freemark.ca and cannabisculture.com, and you can donate in various different ways. And I want to remind everybody that every dollar you donate is being matched up until midnight. So if you can send us $50, that's going to be $100. We really, really appreciate all the support from everyone who's been contributing. I've got donations as little as 75 cents or $5 or $4.20, and I've gotten even people came in and donated $1,000. It's incredible the support that we've seen, and we're utterly grateful for it. And I hope people are tuning in live right now to the broadcast that's happening on Ustream. The link is on cannabisculture.com. I've got my sisters there, Dana Larson, Jacob, Nicole. A lot of our characters at Cannabis Culture headquarters are up in the office, and they've got me live on Skype. So right now, I don't think anyone can hear me, although I'll mute it just to make sure. But I'm appearing live with all my friends right there in the Cannabis Culture headquarters and BC Marijuana Party headquarters. So yeah, please tune in.
And you're doing a simulcast live on a very special 2-hour commercial-free Time for Hemp dedicated to getting Marc home here on American Freedom Radio. A first. Jodi, I've never done a program of this nature, and I'm doing it because of my love for you and Marc. Now, does our American prison system realize just how special Marc is by the letters he's getting and the emails he's getting and the attention that the press is paying attention to him, or do they seem immune to it?
Oh, Marc is he's getting a lot of love and a lot of support through his mail. And the guards do know who he is. One guard even told him, he heard him say, I think it was just yesterday, he said, Emery, because, they called him by their last names, says, Emery, I've watched all your movies, I've watched all your documentaries, and I was coming into work the other day, and I saw your wife in the lobby, and I was about to say, hey, I know you, you're famous. But he didn't want to, of course, say anything because he's got a job to do. But yeah, so, a lot of guards in there know who Marc is. He met with the captain who said he reads everything about him, and they go to the website regularly. And for all I know, there's people who work at the prison who are watching our broadcast live right now. They've been keeping up to date on him, and a lot of inmates know who Marc is, too. So he's been feeling, it's not a loving place in prison by any means, but he's recognized in there, and he's not treated specially. He is just, being treated humanely as much as they can do so in a prison.
And he's still teaching, even though he's in prison. People are learning from him.
Oh, absolutely. He's helping a lot of people.
And our American prisons are so much more different than the incarcerational camps that you have in Canada. I think it blew your mind at first, didn't it? How it was almost going from a country club to a Nazi camp, huh?
Well, the Canadian prisons are actually getting quite a bit worse. We have our crazy conservative government up here that's doing a lot of really bad, backward stuff. And when Marc was held in the pretrial facility in Canada before he got extradited, our visits were done with a glass window between us and a little metal grate that you have to lean forward to talk through. So, it was challenging there, and he didn't get to really go outside much either. There's differences, and It is challenging. But Canadian prisons are better than American just for the fact that he will be closer to home and closer to me.
Well, now that's one thing that I think is really amazing about you. I mean, a lot of wives certainly would not give up on their husbands, just because they went to prison for something like this. I'm not saying anything. But my golly, you have found a way to get down and visit him. He's in another country, and you still manage to get to and from every weekend so that he knows he's not alone. He's able to look at a face that loves him. He's able to get an inspiration of joy through his week. And I think that's amazing that you continue to do that as well as take care of the business and get involved in marches and the demonstrations. The way you stretch your time and then still manage to find a way to express your love to the man in your world, I really commend you.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, Marc is everything to me, so I will stand by him no matter what comes. And, I'm just doing what I can, just as many prisoners' wives do what they can, and I get much more support than they do just because of who Marc is and, all the support and love he gets. That comes to me, and I'm able to give it to Marc. And visiting him is only because I have a generous sponsor, a dear friend, who is paying for all my trips down to see him. And that means the world to me and Marc. So we're very appreciative of it.
I'm certain now. I'm going to pass the question again over to Carey and then again to Shane. They are both enamored by Marc and his history with the marijuana movement and have a huge respect and love for you. So I want to give them a chance to go ahead and speak forward.
I think that at this rally that Colbert and the other fellow, Stewart, are doing, that we should get thousands and thousands of people there to light up joints right there in the square in Washington and just make a statement. I mean, just say, look, arrest all of us if you want to. You haven't got enough jails in this city to lock us all up. Those kind of things.
That'd be great.
We used to do those kind of things back in the day, in the early 70s and stuff. We would hold big rallies like that, and you'd see just a perimeter of cops all the way around the park or wherever we decided to do it. But they left us alone because they knew they couldn't take everybody to jail. So
that's almost doable. You could almost tweet like 1,000 people to suddenly show up, fire up a joint, smoke it, and leave.
Just have so much going that there's a cloud up over the entire all over D.C. for that matter. And if we could get a airplane to fly through it and write "Free Marc Emery" up in the cloud, that would even be greater. But I think it's going to take something like that to open up people in this country's eyes and just say, look, we're not going to stand for it anymore. we're gonna buck you.
Yeah, it would be great if people did a big act of civil disobedience there.
I mean, if they arrested you for possession of one joint, if that's all it came down to, I'd go to jail over that. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
in Washington they got medical marijuana dispensaries. I don't think they'd be too quick to haul a lot of people in if all they had on them was one joint.
Think of what the red tape would cost them. They wouldn't even think of doing anything like that.
Hey, Jodi, you might tweet your friends to do that. Hey, don't they have it so that don't they do those kind of things where people just suddenly all of a sudden just show up in one place, do something, and leave?
You mean at any time for people just to do activism that way? Yeah, it's kind of like a flash mob. That's a great idea to send a message out on your social networks and get a bunch of people to show up. So that's awesome.
Well, that's a great idea.
I just got great news that $1,000 has been donated from Vapor Central in Toronto to the Free Marc Emery Money Bomb. That's awesome.
Great.
Yay! Those people are awesome. Let's give them a big shout out on our radio show. Tell us about them, Jodi, so we can give them free advertising.
Yeah, Vapor Central. It's a place in Toronto and Ontario where you can go and bring your own bud and use vaporizers and bongs and hang out in an awesome environment run by our dear friend Chris Goodwin. So head up there. It's on 600. I think it's 6 167 Yonge Street in downtown Toronto, right in the heart of the city. It's pretty much exactly like our BC Marijuana Party headquarters.